And
And welcome back, everybody. Yeah, there it is.
that worked.
The late Chris Berwin.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everybody. And good evening, and everybody, and welcome back to our Sunday night offering of Astronomy Outreach, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show.
Yay.
Anyway, my name is
practicing this.
my name is Chris Kerwin. I'm the creator of the social media channels known as Astronomy by the Bay. I'm an amateur astronomer and member of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. I'm also very pleased now tonight to introduce my two co-hosts for the evening, Mr. Paul Lone from the Moonshadow Observatory in beautiful Hampton. Hey, Paul, good evening.
Oh, it's a beautiful night it is.
And also my other regular co-host this evening, Mr. Mike Powell from the PFO Observatory here in St. John. Welcome, Mike.
Salute.
Hey. Right. And we'd like to welcome all of you tonight. And of course, welcome all of those who are joining us again through the Rogers TV network. Thank you for your support. Okay, so to begin tonight, we felt it was time for the program to evolve a little bit. So tonight we're revealing some of our new format. We're calling the first part of our program the Astronomy Journey. And over the next number of weeks, we'll be introducing you to many other astronomers and others who are making the journey along with us. Also tonight, we'll be introducing a few new segments, including one feature called a Product of the Week and another one called Ask an Amateur Expert. Where we will pick through questions submitted to us and choose to provide an answer to one of the questions. And instead of doing a what's up, like we used to do before, what's up in the night sky, we're going to pick out just one particular celestial event now of the week and discuss our thoughts on that one particular event. Of course, we are keeping an eye, or keeping your favorites in for the mix. Vinyl Bud will be back actually to continue with some great targets of the week there. And Rosanna has graciously returned to offer her amazing fun fact segment as well. So we're looking forward to all that, and also all of your wonderful photo submissions as well to go tonight. So our first segment of the show is really going to be a discussion about how things are. So how did you like the video?
Yeah, that's the first thing.
That's the first thing, I guess.
That's the first thing. So we hope you enjoyed that. It took us a little while to put it together and think about what we want to put on it. And, we wanted something a little different. And I think, too, one of the first things you should notice is how much better the audio is on the music portion now that we were able to kind of marry up that and have that actually broadcast properly. So a lot of the technical things that we're running into over the course of the last couple of years, which we just didn't do anything about because we're having so much fun, are now starting to get a little bit better. So we hope that we're delivering a product that's just another couple of steps up from where we were before, and hopefully we're going to continue on with that.
We're still gonna have a whole lot of fun with the show anyway. That's what we're here for as well. So okay, so first of all, we really want to talk a little bit, like we are leading into kind of like a podcast kind of a format. It's more of a conversation throughout the show. Really, we'll be introducing our segments as we go along, but we're going to be talking things. We're going to be looking for your questions and stuff along the way as well. Like if you have any comments along the way, we'd like to know. And we're going to be looking for, as we get to these other segments, one of the segments that we talk about is Ask an Amateur Expert. So we're going to be looking for your questions too. So if you have any questions that you'd like us to try to answer for you, send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com. Everything's going to go to the one address now. So photo submissions, questions, comments, please send them all to astronomybythebay@gmail.com. And it's something I check into on a very regular basis. So I keep an eye on what's coming up. So I guess, guys, probably we'll start out with maybe how the summer or the not summer went this year. I don't know. Excuse me. Personally, it wasn't great for observing at all. I mean, we've had some pretty tough times here over the last summer for observing, for sure. We did have a nice couple of nights, I guess, at the Irving Nature Park. We can talk about a bit. One night, the night before the one we just had, we had a little over 550 viewers or visitors to the park that night, which was just a phenomenal number for us. Really, like a record, I think, in all ways, and everybody seemed to have a great time. We even arranged for a satellite train to go over the same night.
Yeah, and they arrived on time.
Yeah, Elon Musk up said, "Do you mind putting a satellite train on?" No problem at all, guys. We'll look right after you. So
Thank you, Elon.
So
I
yeah, we're
actually
all,
had somebody, I told them, I said, we had that set up, and they went, really? Yeah, we got the night made now.
yeah, so we're noticed too, we're all wearing these Raskin B Eclipse t-shirts too. So because we know that, next year on April the 8th of 2024, we're going to get into this event, and this will be the biggest event that we've seen for quite a while in our area. There is one coming up on October the 14th, which is a partial solar eclipse. And for our part of the country, we're about 10% eclipsed here, 10 to 12% or so. As you work your way down into the Midwest, into Texas and Utah, that area, they're going to get 100%. But it's what we call an annular eclipse. It's not a total eclipse. So the one over New Brunswick will happen when the moon is closest to us. So we'll completely block out the sun. The one that's coming up on the 14th will be what they call an annular eclipse. So the moon is farther away. So the moon can't completely cover the disk of the sun. So there's this what we call a ring of fire around the outside, or the annulus, they call it. That's why it's called an annular eclipse. And that will be happening on October the 14th in the afternoon, of course. It could be in the morning. Those two events are really nice too, but there's one coming up in 2025 as well, which is about an 80% eclipse, and that's going to happen at sunrise. So as the sun rises, it'll already be eclipsed for a large portion of it, and then we'll get to see it retreating basically. So that'll be quite a photo opportunity, I guess, to see the sun actually rising while it is eclipsed. So it should be quite great. So that's something really to look forward to. That's a couple of events to look forward down the line. But this summer, I mean, we had some nice planet viewing. Right now, the planets are up really nicely. Saturn, Jupiter's up nice. We're going to talk a little bit about the other morning planets here in a little bit. What do you guys got on the go?
Well, what's coming up is a lot of cool stuff. What's happened over the summer? It'd be interesting to find out what people were doing over the summer, what kind of things that they did to keep busy with their astronomy journey. So people can chime in just to say, did you get out? Did you go camping? Did you learn a new thing? Did you buy a new pair of binoculars? What have you guys done out there to have fun with astronomy? Because we weren't around to do something, so you had to go and do something on your own. Just kidding. But no, what was it that you guys did? I mean, we tried to do many things. The trouble here, of course, being in New Brunswick. Now, of course, our audience is wider than New Brunswick. So, but in New Brunswick here, we had a lot of poor weather, and so much so that I actually took my telescope out of my observatory because when it was just raining all the time, well, that's just raining all the time. But when it wasn't raining, it was blistering hot, and it was too hot for my equipment in my shed, so I had to basically take it out. So I'm just starting to get back into imaging again, and so I've actually had to relearn a bunch of stuff because it's been months since I've played with it. So that's a bit about with my summer what went on. Mike, how about you?
Well, like you say, it's the weather has not been on our side for our hobby. It's just been one of those things. I was actually surprised that we had some beautiful days and I got some great sunspots, but then when the evening came, it clouded over or fogged in, or there was always something that caused it to be, not a good night for viewing. So there hasn't been a whole lot. You look forward every year to going to the star parties, and our star parties have basically been kiboshed for the year. We don't do Fredericton anymore. We couldn't do Mount Carlton because it was raining pretty bad. Kujbaquak looks like they had some success this past weekend or this weekend, and that's great to see. And hopefully, we still have an opportunity. Fundy's been canceled,
Twice.
and then well, you can't. We got a hurricane. That's kind of hard to have a star party in a hurricane. I mean, they've done it in Nova East a few times. We're not trying to keep up by any means. But yeah, it's just been a difficult summer for that kind of thing. Hopefully 2024 is going to be a better year for us, and we look forward to maybe the winter. I mean, the September, October is always our best time of year, as far as I know. You get nice lights, the sun starts to set early, you get longer viewing periods, and maybe we'll get an advantage now, and that we're coming up into October to get some real good nights out of it.
Yeah.
It does look like the next week or so is supposed to be like after we get by these couple of days right now. I think we're going to be into a nice long stretch. So the weathermen are saying anyway for
Cross our fingers for that.
Like we're past first quarter moon now, so we're leading into the full moon comes up. Somebody asked about the full moon. I believe it's on the 29th. So that means 2 weeks from that would be the total solar eclipse, right? So that's when we have a new moon. But I mean, you're observing changes when you get into the moon cycle too. Like the first part of the moon cycle, really nice to be able to do deep sky objects and stuff because the moon's down out of the way early. But from now really till almost third quarter moon, you kind of gotta have to work with the moon being in your sky, and it's more for planetary observing, maybe some deep sky stuff. It's tough to get. Well, it's tough the other night at the nature park with all the cloud to try to get to offer anything besides the planets. But as I find, when I get into these days as we approach full moon, it's really difficult to get out and offer anything really nice through the eyepiece.
Before we come on the show, Paul and I were discussing the fact that you sort of have to go out and start learning everything again because you haven't used it on a regular basis. All of a sudden, you go out and you start scratching your head, going, "Okay, now how do I do this again?" Because you haven't been playing with your equipment that much, right?
Yeah.
With the dog, if you're using the dog, you find that just to find the constellations, it takes a minute.
Yeah. Well, just reintroducing yourself to the sky again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as we've been doing this, you guys have been doing it a lot longer than me, but even as much as I've been doing this, because I've been away from it for a few months, when I went out the other night to start looking around, it was like, okay. I have to start off again because I forgot where some of the things I was looking for that aren't naked eye, and I had to find them. So I had to start kind of retracing all that stuff that when we're doing it all the time, you just go, oh, there, over there.
Yeah.
Right? These green lasers going, and it's like, there it is right there. And now it's like, oh crap, I gotta find that.
Well, what are all those dots up there?
Yeah, right. Where those dots
Where did they come from? And the other part is with the sun being so active, how many times did we miss good aurora activity because it's clouded over, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, man.
Today was at G2 level. Before we come on, somebody sent me a message asking me, would there be an opportunity tonight? And I looked at it and it did say G2 right now, moderate. So, but it's supposed to drop off to a KP2 or whatever overnight. So, but yeah, what was happening? I think this past Tuesday night was a great night for aurora.
Yep.
I've seen posts like all over the place. It was G3, and maybe even a little bit above that, which meant like that was higher than what we saw the night that we were out looking up. And the moon was in a perfect phase, so they had a good opportunity to catch it. And we are going to get a whole lot more of these. Like it's really strong to be. It's typically strong around the equinox for some reason. I got to kind of read up on why they say equinox is better for aurora. But the sun is still peaking. Like we're still a couple of years away from peak. 2025, they say, when the peak. That's what the new information is now, around June 2025 when we'll hit our peak. So we've got 2 good years yet of opportunities for aurora. Lots of solar storms and stuff happening. Lots of sunspots today. All kinds.
Yeah.
And then years on the other side too from maximum. So yeah.
So there's some folks that have been chiming in with what they've done. Some people bought some gear and things like that. We're going to talk to those folks in a few minutes, but I think we come up and are ready for our first segment.
Okay. Yeah. So let's go. We're going to go ahead with the vinyl bud. I think we're going to start it with that tonight.
Vinyl bud.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yes.
All righty, binocular target of the week this week by Vinyl Bud. That's my new entry, by the way. If you don't like it, we'll have to change it down the road. But for now, that's all I can find. The binocular target of the week this week, and it's going to be an easy one, and it's perfect timing right now. Double cluster. In binoculars, there's nothing nicer. So the double cluster, known as Caldwell 14, consists of open clusters NGC 869 and 884, which are close together in the constellation of Perseus. They're both actually visible with the naked eye in dark sky, what a view through binoculars, and they lie at a distance of about 7,500 light years away. So they're actually pretty close. How do I find it in the sky? Well, if you went out tonight and it's clear, believe it or not, and at 10 o'clock, and you oriented yourself 34 degrees, actually 45 degrees northeast. I forgot to change that, but it's about 45 degrees northeast to 10 o'clock. Look up, you'll see the W of Cassiopeia, and then just come down towards Perseus, and it's right in between the two, right in here. It's not hard to find whatsoever. It'll jump right out at you, trust me. Very close to the Heart and Soul Nebula as well. What does it look like? Well, It's roughly two beautiful clusters put together, and you can't miss them. It looks like they're going to collide with each other. It's pretty cool. They jump right out at you. In 10 by 50 binoculars, really nice view. It's nice and big. In fact, I can't get the whole thing into my telescope on my C8, so it's better to view in a pair of binoculars than it is to view in a larger telescope. Compared to the full moon, oh, it's got to be at least 3 full moons in size if you went around in circles and turned it, compared it. It's a big object, and easy to find and easy to see. Now we're going to have bad joke of the week. What do you give a cranky alien? You give him some space. And that's binocular target of the week by.
Awesome.
Oh,
No, that's a great target. I mean, I love that one for the binoculars. It's beautiful through binoculars. One of the
Absolutely.
sure.
Absolutely.
That's it. And it does stand right out if you're into a night dark sky. Like it's easy to pick out.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's placed right beautiful now. You can almost look straight up and see it at 10:30, 11 o'clock. It's virtually straight up.
Yeah. I mean, it's an easy constellation to find too, the big W. So
Or M if you're looking the other way.
So it looks like some folks actually bought some gear. Kathy was out and bought some gear. Hasn't had much of a chance to use it yet, but she's been chatting up with some folks about some imaging, and everybody's doing some different things. So that's exciting to see.
Yeah, we got a joke going on that because we bought equipment, the weather's bad.
You guys must have all bought gear this
We
year.
we messed it all up. We got to order some nice nights on Amazon or something.
yeah. Paul Crowder here from UK says too, very few clear nights during the summer over there as well. So yeah, it's been tough.
Yeah.
Barbara Gadet says the same thing here. Tough, yeah.
Paul Crowder, question for Paul Crowder. Is it, I watch a lot of programs from the UK. I've never been there, but I watch a lot of programs from there. And they say that the weather there is typically, depending on where you are in the UK, excuse me, is typically wet. That just seems to be the thing. Because every video I've ever watched of nature photographers, there is so much moss in the trees. And even when you're buying houses, there are so much moss around the yards. I'm having to assume that there's a lot of moisture and a lot of rain over there. So is that the case? That's a question. It's for Mr. Crowder.
Yeah, let us know there, Paul. We'd
Yeah.
be interested to know.
Because it would be quite difficult to do astronomy a lot more than what we experience it on our norm.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I just found that it'd be interesting to see what he has to say about that.
I see Mark Hickox asked a question about the Bono Bud target. Says, is that the double-double? Typically, it's not. The double-double that we know is in the Tim Hortons constellation, which is Lyra, because you get a donut and you get a double-double. So it's got to be the Tim Hortons constellation and Lyra. But no, the double cluster is the double cluster on its own.
And Lisa says here, Lisa Fanning, viewing was terrible this summer, but I did get to meet some of my favorite Canadian astronomers. Awesome, Lisa. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't get a chance to meet her. I was
No, me either. I was working.
away. Yeah, but she had a good time. She got to spend some time in Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. I'm not sure where else she got to, but those two places for sure. So, and
Well, that's all that matters anyway. Nova Scotia. And New Brunswick.
yeah, Maritimes. Yeah, where else
That's
in
right.
the world?
Okay, maybe we'll go from there. Then where are we going to go next? Let's do a product of the week. How about that?
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So we're gonna start this new segment, and this new segment is just about something we're going to talk each week. And what this is about is going to be some things that we're looking at that are new products, because everybody's always getting, like, all the manufacturers are putting stuff out so much quicker now in terms of product advancements. It's really quite unbelievable. So so I'm going to start that one this week with a product that I think is very interesting, and we'll talk about it and that. So let's get started with that particular segment. And so this segment, I'm going to share my screen, and it is the product of the week. Oh, I hear it coming. And it just rolled in. Look at that. The SNAS, the Sunday Night Astronomy new
You don't
product.
see it, Paul.
Oh, you don't see it. So you don't see it. Okay, let me try that again. Let's try that one more time. Share moi screen.
I think the horn scared it away there for a second.
I think the horn is scared.
There we are.
So yeah, so this is called the SNAS, the Sunday Night Astronomy Show, new product of the week. And this week, I am very, very excited to talk to you about what? A new lens. Not
Who would
just
have known?
not just any lens. This lens is made by a company called Sigma. Most people who are into photography at all will know who Sigma is. And so these guys have kind of pioneered this particular lens geared toward astrophotographers. It'll do other things, which I'll talk about, but this one's kind of was geared toward the astro people. Now, let's talk a little bit about it. So what is it? So it is a 14 millimeter, which is extremely wide. And here's the nice part, f1.4. This thing is a light bucket. And it's unbelievable how much light you can gather at 1.4 versus the standard 2.8, which is what most other people have in the 14 millimeter market. So that was one thing that they did. So another thing that they did with this, which I found really nice, is they've put actually I'm going to share something on my screen with you. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm going to put it up here. I'm losing my voice, so if I sound squeaky, it's because I sound squeaky. Okay, so this is the lens. So this is called the ultra wide angle 14 millimeter. And of course, like we just said, an aperture of f1.4. And this thing is unbelievable. I've already watched a number of videos on it from people who have reviewed it. And these are, the top people in the photography world, and everybody's raving about it. So this is the world first performance was achieved by applying the best Sigma's optical technologies from the design of the lens manufacturing process. I'm not going to read all that because it's stuff I'm going to cover as we go through it. But what I want to talk to you about with this is they've optimized the glass in it. They've optimized a number of things in the development of how this thing works so that your aberrations that you typically get with a really wide angle lens are lessened to a great degree. Stars are much sharper, more pinpoints out to the corners, which are a big problem with 14 millimeter lenses because you're almost getting into that fisheye area. You're starting to get pretty close to that. So typically you'd have aberrations. The vignetting has been greatly reduced, which is obviously something that we need. We do appreciate when we don't have to post-process all that stuff out. So that's just a couple of things. Let's go down into it a little deeper. So these are the functions that are actually going to be applied to the astrophotography side of things. The first one is called the tripod socket. So this tripod socket is right here. So what this is, it's like a little clamshell that goes on around the lens, and then on the bottom of it, that little foot that you see there, that will go into your tripod. The whole point behind this is because that lens is so large, and in other words, the glass is quite large with like all Sigma lenses, but at 14 millimeters, it has to be quite large. And because it's relatively heavy in the front. So by the time you put your camera on the back and put that lens on, with this particular tripod socket, it actually balances it out on your tripod. So you don't have this extreme weight pushing forward on that. So that's one thing they've done. The other thing with that particular feature is also you can rotate your lens and camera 360 degrees within that ring. So that means once you've got your target in place, you don't have to move a darn thing. If you just want to orient your camera to get the best possible composition for your shot, you can do it without having to reset a whole bunch of stuff. That is huge. So that's the first thing about it. The second thing is this manual focus lock switch. This is a really nice feature because how many times have we been out there doing Milky Way shots, get our camera all focused up, and we start to take our shots, and then we go check a couple of things on the camera throughout the night, and we knock our focus out. Very easy thing to do. So what they've done is they've incorporated a focus lock switch on it. So once you've got your lens locked in, it is not going to shift on you. Doesn't matter what you do, it is locked, and you're not going to lose focus all night long and end up with a very, very sad morning with a whole bunch of blurry pictures. This will keep your image is nice and tack sharp if the seeing conditions allow. That's another feature. Another one they have, which is really cool, is called the lens heater retainer. How many manufacturers who make lenses think about astrophotography and think about dew and frost? Not too many. They incorporated it in this particular lens. So as you can see here, everybody who's done any kind of astro knows that that's a dew heater. Dew heater is just a little band that you wrap around the lens or a telescope to keep it just below the ambient temperature, or above the ambient temperature rather, so that you don't get dew and frost. So what they've done on this particular one is they've actually made more space so that when you put a heater on like this, it's actually wider so that your heater doesn't fall back or forward. So that in the middle of the night, you're not losing your heat or you're not having something obstructing your view. So they've really thought about that part of it. That to me is just fantastic. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is the rear filter holder. This is built right into the lens. So in here, in this mechanism, you can buy what they call sheet type filters. So depending on, and I won't get into the filters, that's a whole other talk, but there's filters out there that will aid you in your astrophotography image captures. And so you can basically just slide those paper filters right in, and you can put up to 3 of them in if you needed to. And also the cover that covers that up is actually designed so that you can actually keep those papers in there, and that cover will lock them in, so you don't have to keep taking them out if you are using those for that. So that is another feature that they've got in there, which is absolutely cool. I want to show you just a couple of images that have been taken with this. I'm not going to get into all the technical stuff because it's too long and I didn't want to get into that. But I did want to show you, where am I at? I think it might be up a little higher. Just bear with me 1 second, I'll find it. I just wanted to show you what this lens is capable of. Hopefully it's up here. There it is, okay. I want to show you this one picture. Keep in mind, this lens is not only for astrophotography, this is also for landscape photography, daytime, also for architectural, whatever the case. But let's just have a look at this image. And there you are. Look at that image. That is absolutely stunning. And
I have a question for you, Paul. What's the lens aperture?
Oh, yes. Thank you very much. The lens aperture, of course, is 1.4. So
yeah, 90 mil, 82 mil, 70 mil.
It'll go down to, you can close it up to as f16.
Yeah, but the aperture of the actual lens, is it the 87 millimeter, 72 millimeter?
Oh, you mean the where you put the filter on the filter on the front?
Yeah, on the front.
It doesn't mount like that. That the lens.
I just want to know what the aperture is. How big around is the lens?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
I didn't see it in any
if it's
of the
anything
specs.
like mine, it's probably about 86 millimeters.
Yeah, so that's a nice big light collecting lens.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay. But the reason I didn't look that up is because the filters don't go on the front of these.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah, the type of lens they are, they don't. The lens hood that's on them is fixed, and it doesn't come out so you can just screw things on. It just doesn't work that way. That kind of lens.
But to me, aperture is everything. If it's 90 millimeter diameter, then it's going to collect more light than something that's a 50 millimeter diameter.
Yeah, right? Yeah. No, these are huge. Like I have a 14 millimeter Sigma myself. That's a f2.8, but it's huge. It's the same size as this one, and it's
yeah, right on.
Very big. Yeah. But anyway, this picture here that I'm showing was taken with this lens at 14 millimeters at f1.4, so it was wide open. And it was taken with the ISO 1600, 22 seconds, and this is what he got for an image.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing. Now, here's the downside to it, if there is a downside for now, is it's only made for Sony, Leica, Panasonic, and I can't remember the fourth one, and it's made for mirrorless cameras. So this is a mirrorless lens. This is our future in cameras. Everything's going mirrorless. And you're going to find more and more when you go buy new cameras. It's getting harder and harder to find a DSLR. So, but that's the way that it's going. So that's the way that they have gone with this. And so that will be coming out. Now, the street price for this lens in Canada is $21.99.
How much?
$21.99.
$21. It's not bad.
Well, they'll get 5 of them.
If you price some Canon or Nikon lenses, this is nothing compared to the prices of some of those other lenses.
Oh yeah.
So Sigma, that's why I use a lot of Sigma, because their prices are excellent and it's great value for money. So,
Yeah, the quality is really good on Sigma.
oh my gosh, absolutely. So anyway, so that's basically what I want to show. And that is this week's, and here comes the truck again. A Sunday Night Astronomy Show's new product of the week.
Hey,
That's awesome.
like Paul Crowder was commenting back. Yes, we do get quite a lot of rain here in recent years, and the volume of rainfall is much heavier along with stronger winds. He says also when we are experiencing a heat wave, temperature records are being broken. Yeah, I've heard a lot of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're quite happy with the lens, Paul?
Huh?
So you're
It's
quite
quite,
happy.
it's exciting, yes, that it's coming out on the market.
Yeah, I don't have the lens, but yeah. Yeah, I'm excited about the lens. I think if it becomes available for Canon, I'll be buying one for sure.
Yeah. I'm hoping other manufacturers will get on board with that kind of thing.
Yeah, well, that's it. I think that was probably I think what's happened is astronomy, astrophotography, especially Milky Way photography, Star Trek, all that stuff. That's becoming more and more popular. And because if you look now on the YouTube channels, even say before the pandemic, there was only a handful of people doing a lot of regular videos on it. Now it's just
It's everywhere.
because the technology is getting to the point where it's getting a lot easier to use for the regular guy that's coming in and just getting introduced to this. And because of that, and because of all the talk about space and our exploration is at a new level it hasn't been in years. I think all of that is steaming that whole engine, if you will, of astronomy products. So yeah, now's the time to get it.
All right, let's get on to the next segment. We're going to move into something called Celestial Wonder of the Week. And that is going to be brought up by me. I'm trying to go over here. And I just got to go over beginning. There we go. Should be up.
Yep.
Okay, got no music for this one yet. I'll have to pick up a little ditty to go with it. So instead of offering like a whole what's up talk this week, I thought it might be better off just to focus on one thing, because it's hard to remember half a dozen things anyway. I have a hard time remembering where I am. So anyway, we're going to just talk about one little thing tonight, and that's going to be the planet Venus, because it's been the big talk lately. Everybody's been talking about Venus in the morning sky, very, very bright. Minus 4.3 or 4.4, which is a very bright object. It is the third brightest object in the sky anyway, behind the sun and the moon. And just a couple of few facts about Venus. Venus does have a thick toxic atmosphere filled with carbon dioxide, and is perpetually shrouded in thick yellowish clouds of sulfuric acid that trap heat, causing a runaway greenhouse effect. Now, it is the hottest planet in the solar system, even though Mercury is closer to the sun. The surface temperatures on Venus are about 475 degrees Celsius. And Venus rotates on its axis backward compared to most other planets in the solar system. And it also rotates very slowly on its axis. Actually, one day on Venus is 243 Earth days. But 1 year on Venus is actually 225 Earth days. So in other words, a day on Venus is longer than a year on Venus. And hopefully that's not a Monday, right? for most of us. Some other interesting thoughts about Venus. Now, the ancient Romans could easily see 7 bright objects in the sky: the sun, the moon, and the 5 brightest planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Now, they named the objects after their most important gods. Venus, the third brightest object after the sun and the moon, was named after the Roman goddess of love and beauty, and is the only planet named after a female god. So take that. Next up, keep watch over many months, and you'll notice that Venus actually has phases, just like our moon does. It has full, half, quarter, etc. Now, the complete cycle, however, new to full, takes a full 584 days, while our moon takes just a month. Mercury is also in the same boat. It also has phases, just like Venus. Now, it was this perspective, the phases of Venus, that were first observed by Galileo through his telescope, that provided the key scientific proof for the Copernican heliocentric nature of the solar system. In other words, the sun at the center of the solar system. So it was that those phases that sealed the deal. Where do we find it? Take a look in the morning sky. This is looking east at 6:15 a.m. Atlantic time. We're going to see Venus right between the constellations of Leo and Cancer. Very, very bright. You can't mistake it for a star. It will look like a bright star. It is called the morning star a lot, but it is the planet Venus. And just below Venus right now, over the next couple of weeks or so, you're going to be able to see Mercury just below Leo. So we've got two morning planets. Mercury's always a tough one to pick out because it never drifts very far from the sun. But Venus is going to be in our morning sky for quite some time now. So you'll have lots of opportunity on some clear mornings. So if you're a morning person, get out and take a look at Venus. You'll really enjoy the view. And that's our celestial wonder of the week this week. So we'll stop sharing.
Ta-da.
Yeah.
Go.
At all, or have you guys caught it in the sky, or?
The Venus, yeah, I was out 2 mornings in a row on Saturday and Sunday morning, going upriver in the dark, and it was so bright. It was unbelievable. You'd swear someone had an outside light on. It was that bright. And so taking some shots of that with of the sun, hadn't hit the sunrise yet. We're at the blue hour, and so with the water being just like glass on the river that time in the morning, and that Venus just poking itself out, it was just
lighting the whole water up as well, right? I mean, it's like
yeah, it reflects in the water. You can see it in the sky, so you get it in shot in both places. It's just beautiful.
And it is beautiful through binoculars. Like you can actually see the faces of them through binoculars too, if you catch it.
And it's relatively high. At that time of the morning too, which is quite nice.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Mike, you seen that lately, or?
Well, we go out and it's been at night and we're looking at Jupiter and we think Jupiter's bright, and all of a sudden Venus pops up on the horizon and it's like, holy crap, where did this thing come from? You just don't realize it because when it goes, of course, out of our sight for a while, when it does come back up, wow, what a difference, man! It is bright.
It's
and can't miss it.
And we had it in the evening sky there for quite a while, all through spring and into early summer. Now it'll be in our I believe it's right up until at least Christmas that we'll have it in our sky. Then it starts to drop off again, and then it'll be back behind the Inferior Conjunction of the Sun, and then back out the other on the evening sky again. So hopefully we'll hit the rental market to try it out. Okay, that knocks off that one.
Check marks. Check.
We got about 20 minutes to go, so we could probably
We're doing good.
Should we do an ask an amateur now, or
Sure.
discussion about summer?
Well, I've had a lot of questions this summer. So when it's like ask the amateur, I'm gonna basically a lot of the questions I've been asked can be answered very simply. Some people have asked me, how do you do a polar alignment? Well, it comes with a manual when you buy your mount, how to do a polar alignment. What does the N on the leg stand for? Well, if you read the manual, it would tell you what the N stands for. How do I find my way through the menu on a hand pad? Guess what? They give you a manual when you buy a mount. There's a reason they give you a manual. And in today's world, I understand nobody likes to read. But I'll tell you, you can ask, you can answer yourself a lot of your own questions that you have, and you're asking, astronomers about just by reading the manual that comes with the mount. It has everything in there you need to get started. If you don't have a manual for your piece of equipment, download one and read it, because that's the reason it's there. And in today's world, if it doesn't show up on a phone, in 2 seconds, and you're not interested. But a lot of, and I find it baffles me that you'd spend a lot of money investing in the equipment that you're investing in, and you don't read a manual. All I'm saying is read that manual. It's well worth the time to sit there on a dull night when there's nothing happening and the clouds are in the sky and you can't use your equipment anyway. Read that manual from start to finish. And like Paul and I were discussing earlier, don't read in the middle and don't look up the subject, just the subject you want to learn about. Read the whole manual from front to back.
Yeah. And
I'll tell you, it'll save a lot of questions, and you'll answer a lot of questions that you have right off the bat before you even go out and set out in the field. That's just kind of a little peeve that I have. And I've had a lot of people ask me, how do you do this? And how does that work? And how does this work? And I ask them, have you read the manual? Well, no.
Yeah.
Read the manual. That's why it's there.
So the manual is kind of like a roadmap anyway. It's like a workflow. So if especially in astronomy, because in astronomy, especially if you're dealing with a mount, like Mike was saying, the first thing you have to do is get the mount level. That's step one. Next thing you got to do is put the mount itself on the tripod. Step two.
Yeah.
Then the next thing would be to put your counterweights on. Step three. So it takes you through each and every one of those steps, so that if you run into a snag, and you're having a little bit of trouble, and then you ask about that, then someone could say, well, did you do this? And then you say, yeah, I did that. I followed all the steps right to that point. So you'll always have a roadmap and always a way that you can go backwards and troubleshoot that way. And then if you do that, it's like processing pictures with astronomy. People are afraid to do PixInsight and a lot of stuff like that, only because they want to learn, oh, I saw them do star reduction, show me how to do that. I saw them do this, show me how to do that. No. Let's go right to the very beginning. This is your screen. This is all the tools on the screen. This is what these tools do. The very first thing you do when you process an image is, what do you do with it? You want to stretch it, or in some cases, stretch an image, depending how you're doing it. So anyway, so the manual or the guide, because even on software, they've got a whole manual as to how to run your software. Yeah. So I really, I kind of second Mike on that one, because it's hard to know even how to answer a question when you know the question you're going to ask is going to baffle them because they haven't read to a point. So you might as well talk Greek.
Yeah.
It's also like, I mean, YouTube videos are great for finding out a quick fact about something, but it's also their interpretation of what the manual is, right?
Right.
Somebody puts a post up about how to align things or how to set up your phone. It's how they interpreted the work to be done, right? So hey, there's an easier step to do it this way, but it's the manual. The manual is being put out by the manufacturer of the equipment, so they're the ones who understand the equipment the most, right? So that's where it falls into the most, I'd say.
Yeah, when it comes to ask the amateur in this particular case, before you ask the amateur, read the manual. is my response.
Good point.
You'll be amazed at what you can learn.
Yeah.
So just for those people who aren't clear what that segment is about, so typically Ask the Amateur Astronomer is, because we're not experts, we're just amateurs like everybody else, and we're always learning. Every day we learn, and you don't ever stop learning in this industry. And but in any event, the whole idea behind this segment was we'll tackle most of the common questions that we get. A lot of people give us a lot of questions. Like Mike said, I've had 4 just on this topic alone. So the whole point behind this is we're going to answer some of those questions for you as you go along. So anytime you have questions, send them in, or even during the show, send them in, and then we'll compile them. And then each week when we talk about that segment, then we're going to select somebody. We're going to actually cover a topic on that one thing that they want to talk about.
Yeah. So
that's kind of what that segment is designed for.
Yeah, perfect.
But I'm always going to ask you if you read the manual first.
Okay, we got a couple of more things to cover. We got Rosanna's fun fact, and then we get some photo submissions. We're about 15 minutes out now, so
good.
Should start into one of the two. Paul, you want to go with Rosanna's fun fact?
All right, I will do that. So let me
back into these again. Rosanna's great information.
All right, so we are ready for this week's reintroduction of
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Hey, welcome back, Rosanna. It's so good to see you again. And we are so thrilled that you're going to spend another season with us doing these absolutely wonderful fun facts that you so graciously give us and let us talk on the show. So thank you, Rosanna, for all of that. So getting right into it. Rosanna writes, get your speakers ready. This one is party for the ears. So she says, hi, Paul. So here we are back in the swing of things after enjoying the sounds of summer. And let me just see if I had that. There we go. So listen, it's a soothing sound machine. Summer rain. It's still raining outside. And it was. Most of the sounds of summer were raindrops on the roof, on the car, pouring out the eavesdropping. Interestingly, small raindrops are surprisingly loud, producing a 13 to 25 kilohertz sound, whereas medium raindrops are actually quieter. As humans, we do not hear the 13 to 2500 kilohertz range, but I certainly heard the result of raindrops, all sizes, hitting the roof. While thinking about listening to the sounds on my existence, a wonderful page came my way. Now let me see if I can find that page and show it to you, because I don't know what I'm sharing if I can, actually I can't access it. I'm gonna have to do it this way. Let's see what happens. And there it is. So these are sounds, which I'll play for you in a moment, but I'll explain what this is first. So while thinking about listening to the sounds of my existence, a wonderful page came my way, which is the one I'm sharing now. If you are enjoying the sounds of crickets inside and out, check out Jupiter. It sounds a little crickety. Both Mercury and Uranus have a rather intense, while Venus is quite sweet and pleasant. Each of these sound bites is looped, so if you really want to have some fun, start several at a time and create your own space orchestra. The sound of a comet Temple 1 passing by NASA's Stardust spacecraft sounds a bit like one of those Jiffy Pop popcorn pans over a bonfire. So if you miss that in the summer, so let me just play one of those sounds. So here's what a black hole will sound like. That's a black hole merger all by itself. Here's the sound of a comet. Here's the sound of the sun. Here's the sound of Mercury. Here's the sound of Venus. Here's the sound of the Earth, our planet. I'll text you. No, I'm kidding. Here's the sound of Mars. Here's the sound of Jupiter. Here's the sound of Saturn. Here's the sound of Uranus. And here's the sound of Neptune. And here's the sound of Pluto. Hey, I'm still a planet, you know. I'm just kidding there. But anyway, so that's really cool. So if you get it, if you want to check that out, it's scientific.place/sounds of space. And it's really cool. So you can have a lot of fun with that. So according to the article in Gizmodo, the loudest sound in the universe definitely comes from a black hole mergers. In this case, the sound comes out in gravitational waves and not ordinary sound waves. So as long as the black holes are in the range of roughly 1 to 100 solar masses, which in this case for black hole mergers recently detected by LIGO, the sound is indeed in the human hearing range. The mergers have output something like 10 squared 52 watts of power. And now for those who aren't mathematicians, and I'm not one, that's about a billion times the energy output of the sun. So if translated to decibel watt scale, that equates to something like 520 decibels. That doesn't sound too large, but remember the decibel scale is logarithmic. So an increase by 10 decibels is a factor of 10 in volume. So, well, what does a sound like when it's increased by 10 dB? Let's see if I have that. Here it is.
Here is a short video to demonstrate the difference between 10 decibels in an audio signal. I'm going to play a short piece of music, and then I'm going to play the same piece of music 10 decibels louder. Beware, the second segment will be quite a bit louder, so you may want to be careful. 10 decibels louder.
So you can see that increase in decibel levels it's really quite an increase. So you can imagine going to 520 decibels when what we're listening to there was probably somewhere in the range of, maybe 40 decibels or something like that. I can't. So to put the 520 decibels in perspective, 80 dB is considered the highest safe level for humans. So when you go to work someplace and it's a place that requires you wear ear protection, it's because your environment is 80 to 85 decibels more for 8 hours in length, and that can cause hearing loss. So that's 80 decibels is a factory level. So that's pretty high. So while exploring various sounds of the universe, I came upon this article stating that scientists now feel that perhaps it is sound waves that cause stars to finally explode. We have yet to explain how supernovas go boom, but computer simulations have failed to support the neutrino theory. Adam Burrows, who modeled supernovas at Princeton University, created a simulation that seems to support sound waves as being the final trigger. The following pictures briefly explain this theory, and she apologizes for the pictures. They look like sound waves affected, but my magazine got caught in a surprise shower. So here's the first one. So this one is on the brink of the collapse in the Adam Burrows computer simulation. After a few weeks of fusing silicon, the star has created an icon core slightly larger than Earth, but more massive than the sun. This simulation shows the star's iron core as shells of equal density. Now the next one is the core starting to collapse. So then rebounds as it compresses to densities higher than an atom's nucleus. This launches an outward moving shock wave that's stalled by inflating gas. Even after a third of a second, neutrino heating fails to get the shock moving again. And here's the third one. So turbulent gas falling onto the proton-neutron star, or proto-neutron star, causes it to oscillate about 300 times a second, a frequency that corresponds to the musical note F, which is above the middle C. Sound waves expand into the gas and force the shock to wobble. And finally, and she says, by the way, quick, anyone with a piano or keyboard in the house, run to it and play the F above the middle C, and there it is. That is what you would, that frequency is the trigger of a supernova. That's really cool to listen to. And then this final one is sound waves deposit nearly all the energy into the gas. This forces infalling streams to one side of the neutron star and clears a path on the other. Acoustic energy revitalizes the shock wave, which now moves outward. A supernova is born. So the loudest possible sound in air is 191 decibels. Beyond that, the sound pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure, which effectively makes it supersonic, and it becomes a shock wave rather than a sound. So knowing this is a little consolation if you encounter a sound that loud, though, you are likely to start experiencing not just hearing damage, but also lung damage as the overpressure level. Fortunately, all sound waves on Earth, even above the middle F, even above F above middle C, generally dissipate too quickly to ever reach lethal triggering levels. But Google did inform me that the researchers feel it would take 240 dB to make the human head explode. Not that I asked. And that is this week's
Rosanna's Fun Fact.
Oh boy, I tell you, Rosanna, we heard you on that one.
I think a lot of people were expecting Uranus to sound differently.
That is really, really interesting information. The fact that supernovas are, in theory now, being caused by a frequency. and then to go to your keyboard and you can actually hear that frequency. Anyway, that's just unbelievable.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome as ever. Thank you. Okay, let's get quickly to some photos. We're at 8:57 now, so we want to get into the last part of our program. Let me bring up a few photos for you to share. Here we
Oh,
go.
Derek King says Uranus didn't sound anything like I expected, thankfully.
Okay, get a photo up there? Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do.
There you are.
Yeah, so we're gonna.
Whoop,
We're gonna-
there it is.
Oh, whoop, there it is. It's still there, is it? Okay. Got a photo, some photos to take a look at here. We got this one from Chelsea Connors. Chelsea said, "Hi there. I wanted to share my photo I captured of the supermoon back on August 31st in Blissville, New Brunswick, on the beautiful Miramichi River." Beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Absolutely.
That one's Mary Craig. That should have been in this one. That should have been next week, I guess, but I'm gonna pass by and we'll pick it up next week. D King sent this one. I took this photo of the sun setting down behind the Delta Hotel. No, that's the wrong one. Why does that say D King on it? Jill Kingston. This is that. Jill Kingston's. Yes, I saw your Facebook post. Please find attached the photo I took of the blue supermoon. Should be hers. Yes, it is. While visiting family in Nova Scotia a few weeks ago, she said my focus was slightly off and I was shooting through the trees, hence the shadow to the right, but was overall grateful that I got to capture it at all, given the rotten weather that we've been having this summer. We
Yeah.
understand, Jill, where you are there for sure.
Okay.
Nice. So, okay.
Yes.
Comes from Mika Montier. She says, now this is called the staircase to heaven. It is often associated with a spiritual journey in which the stairway serves as a bridge between the mortal world and the divine. The stairway represents the spiritual ascent of an individual as they make their way to enlightenment and closer to God. Some even say that during this natural phenomenon in the sky, our loved ones can come down from the heaven briefly and give us a hug and are there for us when we need it most. Pretty cool.
Wow.
Like that. Now I would see that as a crack in the wall on what was the show? Doctor Who.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Yeah, crack in the wall. Anybody who watches that would probably know what I mean. But beautiful capture there, Mika. Thank you. I think I've got this one, Chris Baldock. Yeah, Chris sends, I'm happy to see that you and Mike and Paul were back this Sunday. Hope that you enjoyed the summer. I've had attached this picture of the moon rising over London, Ontario on September the 4th.
Wow.
Full frame DSLM 400 lens at f5.6, 1/4 second ISO 6400. Processing slightly cropped. Good job.
Mm.
Wow.
How big that moon looks, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Most of the buildings and stuff. Yeah. Good stuff, Chris. Thanks. These ones came in from Carol Bean, some moon captures that she had taken over the summer. So she wanted to share a few of those with us. Well done, Carol. That's a beauty there.
Very nice.
She sent me in several pictures, so I'm going to show a few this week, and I'm going to save a couple of nice ones for next week as well. So there, look at that shot.
That's gorgeous.
Wow.
Well done. Thanks, Carol, as always. I'm going to go to these couple from Matthew Dupre. He said, "Hey, Chris, hope you had a great summer. Excited to see the show starting up again. Here's a few captures I got over the summer. One of the North American Nebula.
He's been doing some nice work.
Yes, he is. And this one he says of the Sol Nebula.
Wow.
You got the Wizard. I got those two. There's a Wizard Nebula too, but I think I got to get it next week, so I will. But anyway, he said that these were captured anyway with
Oh, wow. Nice.
Celestron 9 1/4 with Hyperstar and an ASI 2600 MC Pro.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Tom
Did
Matthew.
you see how much time he's got on it?
He didn't say. No, I'll have to. I think he posted up on the group there that he's
Yeah, I'll check it out. It should be on Astro Imaging.
Yeah. Anyway, so we love getting your photos. That's just the start for this week. So if you like any photos to share with us, please send them into astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to share them on our next program.
The Triplet Nebula.
Yeah. Yeah, nicely done. Thank you, everybody. Okay, let me get something else up here and just kind of Just bear with me because my sound might mute here for a second.
Oh, by the way, do you like the hats Mike had done for us?
Yes, Mike, great job. Thank you, sir.
That's
And
spelled
Rosanna,
Snazrock. Nobody will notice that.
Rosanna, I have one for you. So if
Yes.
you're watching tonight, I have one of these all wrapped in plastic, ready to deliver to you. So you can wear this hat while you're watching the show.
Oh. I think I just threw my closing notes on the floor. Well, we get through most of the show, okay. There we go. Okay, so that's our show for this evening. First of all, special thanks, of course, to Rosanna for her constant contributions and putting up with us and sharing all that wonderful information with us. Rosanna, thanks very much again. We really do appreciate it. We do hope that you enjoyed the program here tonight, or changing our little bit of format. Next week, we'll be diving into our new segment with a special guest, hopefully, discussing with us their journey into astronomy. So we'll be carrying that topic into future weeks as well. Not just their journey, but maybe what kind of things that they've been getting into, that kind of thing, and with us as well. Of course, we'll have all of your other wonderful segments as well. The ones that we had tonight, the new segments will be continuing right through. We may be adding some more as we approach and we evolve through this program. Remember too, we do love getting your photos, so send them in to astronomybythebay@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to include them on our next broadcast. A special thanks again to our friends at Rogers for joining us this evening as well. So until next week, then, we wish you all clear skies. As we like to say, guys, keep your scopes pointed up.
Yep.
Have a great week, everyone. And let's close out our show. 1, 2, 3. Yes.